Baki, the Invincible Samurai, episode 10. Oh yes, you already know we gotta get into it. You know I love that sound, right? So, the last episode was the conclusion of Miyamoto and Retsu's fight, and Retsu got cut down. I'm talking about his organs came out of his body when he fell to the ground. His spine was severed, and we don't even know if this man is dead or alive. But what we do know is Tokugawa feels guilty because he does not believe he should have brought Miyamoto back to life. So, with that being said, we're gonna get into episode 10. And don't forget, like the video, sub to the channel for one of the best reaction channels to anime on YouTube. Let's go. So Miyamoto and Tokugawa are sitting down, and Tokugawa is like, well, this is exactly what I thought. It was gonna be an easy victory for you. And Miyamoto was like, what, Tokugawa? Did you see what Retsu did to my face? How he damaged it? And I'm even taken back a little bit because I'm like, damn, Retsu put Miyamoto on his ass multiple times. I don't think this was an easy victory. It was just that Retsu was outmatched, outskilled, outwitted. So then Tokugawa asked Miyamoto what he thought about Retsu, and he says, well, that fight reminded me of the battle of Shikigahara. And then it goes to this flashback with a young Miyamoto, and he's surrounded by his enemies, and he's talking a whole bunch of shit like, hey, come at me. Miyamoto is dropping these dudes. I mean, he's stomping on their face, punching them in the face, slicing them in the face. He's like, hey, y'all getting whooped by an amateur. I'm a kid as well. He's actually 17 years old at this time. Then Miyamoto all of a sudden starts getting ambushed with arrows. Another enemy stabs him in the leg, but of course, you already know, Miyamoto takes that guy out, slashes him up, and then he's trying to take cover, but arrows are still getting, directed in his direction. He's still getting hit with them. He pulls an arrow out of his shoulder. Full video is uploaded on the channel as we speak. So go ahead and watch the full video. I'm pretty sure you guys will find it entertaining as well. And let's get back to it. But he doesn't lose his resolve, and he's telling the enemies to come at him. And then it goes back to the conversation between Miyamoto and Tokugawa. So Miyamoto admits that fight between him and Retsu was kind of like the battlefield at Shikigahara, because it was all kind of things happening, things going right, things going left, different weapons being used. And then Tokugawa asked if Retsu was a formidable opponent for Miyamoto. And Miyamoto says, look, I was entranced in Retsu, captivated by his willpower, his will to win, his fighting spirit. He also said that he felt terrified by Retsu. So then Tokugawa asked how Retsu compared to his rival Sasaki. Yo, Miyamoto barely remembers Sasaki, and Tokugawa is tripping. He was like, wasn't that your most formidable foe? The one that gave you the biggest run for your money? And then Miyamoto is like, no, he was just an ordinary man. So Tokugawa asked Miyamoto, hey, do you think Retsu is ordinary? And then Miyamoto is like, no, Retsu, Baki, or Doppo are not ordinary at all. They would have made a name for themselves in the warring states. And then he asked Tokugawa who his next opponent is. I wonder who it's gonna be. All right, so then it transitions over to Baki being at Motobae's dojo. They're sitting down, and Motobae is like, hey Baki, yes, we'll train anybody at my dojo, but I'm curious, why do you want to learn the ancient martial arts? And Baki's being apprehensive because he doesn't want to basically say, hey, I want to train ancient martial arts so I can get another fight in with Miyamoto. So he's coming up with these excuses saying, oh, I think that history is cool and I would like to train with you, Motobe, and so on and so forth. So he's just fibbing right now. He's trying to mask what his true intentions are. So Motobe tells Baki that his reasons for training in the ancient martial arts is not good enough because he could not protect Retsu, and Retsu was a master of Kung Fu, lost to Miyamoto, and then Motobe says none of you are good enough to beat Miyamoto. Then Motobe tells Baki, I will protect you. And Baki is like, how you gonna protect me with your martial arts skills and with your old ass body? Then Baki says, listen, I will not allow anybody to protect me. And then Motobe says, Baki, did you see the fight? Did you see Miyamoto's strength? Did you see Miyamoto's skills fighting Retsu? Then he tells Baki that they haven't even seen Miyamoto at full strength yet. He also says that Miyamoto allowed Retsu to use his technique so he can study the modern day martial arts. So he wasn't even taking that fight serious. So then Baki hops up and then he challenges Motobe to spar in order for him to judge to see if he is able to compete against Miyamoto. So then Motobe gets up and he says, hey Baki, I'll give you 100, 120 when it comes to hand-to-hand combat. Me, I'll probably get about an 80. But when it comes to using weapons, swords, spears, ninja weapons, etc., I'm like a 300, right? And then Baki is like, okay, well you can go ahead and use those weapons and let's get to it. So then Baki lunges at Motobe. Listen, while Baki lunges towards Motobe, Motobe drops a smoke bomb and disappears. Baki don't know where the hell Motobe went. And then Motobe appears behind Baki with a knife to his neck. And he's like, well, so whose numbers were wrong? Because you were saying that me being at a 300 was off. So Motobe tells Baki that as soon as he got that call from Baki in the morning, he made those smoke bombs because he figured that Baki and him were going to have some sort of a physical confrontation. And he also told Baki about, listen, if you think that my strategy is so precise, so skilled, so good, just think how Miyamoto's is, because he thinks the same way when it comes to martial arts strategy. And nobody, your father, you, Dopo, none of y'all understand this particular martial arts skill but me, and this is why I need to be the one to fight Miyamoto. Alright, so Miyamoto has been arrested by the superintendent because the people who attended that match between Miyamoto and Retsu went to the cops and told on him. So they're arresting him for suspected murder. Now these people don't watch what happened between Miyamoto and Retsu on their own free will, and now they feel guilty because they watched a complete massacre of Retsu. That's messed up, y'all. They should have signed a waiver or something, an NDA, saying that they wouldn't say anything after that match. So Tokugawa tells the superintendent, hey, it was an accident. They were doing a sword dancing display, and just so happened, Miyamoto accidentally killed Retsu, right? And then the superintendent is like, okay, I'll make sure nothing happened. I'll cover things up. And then all of a sudden, Miyamoto breaks the handcuffs, and he was like, this weak metal can't hold me. Then he tells Tokugawa, hey, don't worry about me. I'll go with him. This is just another learning experience. And then he walks out with the police officers. So Miyamoto goes outside, and it's a shit ton of police officers, right? And Miyamoto asked the superintendent, he's like, do you think all of these police officers can stop me? And then he starts, generating his power and everything. And then he just yells, ah! And then all of the police officers back up in fear. And then he says, oh, you guys are not warriors. You're just useless. So the superintendent and Miyamoto are in a car, and the superintendent tells Miyamoto, hey, you won't be charged under this one condition. You need to fight the 4-time Kendo Japan champion, Sergeant Miwa, and he agrees to it. So Sergeant Miwa is getting extremely excited about fighting Miyamoto, and there's another officer he's talking to, but that officer is being skeptical if that's really Miyamoto, and Miwa is like, it has to be. Did you see how he put down those police officers on the news? That was ancient martial arts. It has to be the real Miyamoto. And then he starts questioning if his kendo skills measure up to Miyamoto's swordsmanship. So Miyamoto ends up walking in to where Sergeant Miwa is, and now we're about to see what happens. So the superintendent asks Sergeant Miwa what he thinks about Miyamoto, and Miyamoto starts displaying his fighting aura, and Sergeant Miwa is like, well, I don't even know what to say right now because I didn't expect his fighting aura to be this direct. So they both get kendo swords, right? And they separate because when you're doing a kendo duel, it's about speed. Whoever can tap somebody in the head first, they're the winners, right? Well, Miyamoto is looking at this wooden sword and walks up to Sergeant Miwa, right? And he raises his sword, and Miwa is confused. He's like, what the heck are you doing? And he holds his sword up to block Miyamoto's strike, and Miyamoto strikes Sergeant Miwa down, breaks his kendo sword and Sergeant Miwa's sword, and Sergeant Miwa is knocked out, and then the episode ends. That shit was hilarious. Love this episode. It was great. It was entertaining. Lots of backstory in it. Listen, we're going to be on episode 11 next week. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, hell, share the video as well, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.